shall we? What do you think, Kitty? Caitlin Bennett? Kitty's like, no, she doesn't even know how to poop in a box like me. She just poops wherever she is. Okay, let's do Caitlin. So, as I mentioned in a previous Chud Watch, YouTube has banned election conspiracy theory peddling, so you can't go on and say ridiculous stuff like, oh, you know, the election was stolen because this conspiracy theory or that conspiracy theory or whatever. They're not allowing it anymore. So Caitlin Bennett's mad. Let's see what she has to say after I read these messages. Voss and Raven with 30 bits. That was my junior year history teacher here in the good old Eastern Washington. Told us we weren't allowed to say the cause of the Civil War was slavery. Yay. Gross. Oboan with 50 bits. The whole purpose of the Daughters of the Confederacy was to revise the Civil War to be all about states' rights so that their sons and husbands wouldn't have died in vain. Yeah. Lost cause revisionism is a real thing. It's interesting to look into.
YouTube, as we know it, is now completely dead. And if you support Donald Trump, your days here are now numbered. To us here on the right, big tech censorship isn't anything new. For years now, they've been targeting conservatives and making those of us still left on here have to censor ourselves just to maintain a social media presence.
If you saw my tweet the other day, remember, Liberty Hangout has literally tweeted Holocaust denialism shit from their Twitter account. Just for the record, who we're talking about. They're like, we're being censored. Literally posts Holocaust denial stuff. Just so we're all on the same page.
They tried to be subtle about it for a while, but once the election came around, they took the mask off and went full-blown communist, hiding dozens of President Trump's—
Wait, they went full-blown communist? Twitter seized the means of production and centralized them in government power? Weird. Mitchell Drummer with 150 bits, snipe. Tucker White 94, 20 bits. Given a lot of the Civil War revisionism that we see today, what are the chances we see that in 150 years with Trump and how he handled COVID? I don't know if people will remember Donald Trump in 150 years. He's a one-term in president, so I guess we'll have to see. The Undercover Beast with 50 bits. The handsome troll stream boss has been defeated. Long live the stream boss.
Funny about the tools of capitalism.
Nice.
Tweets labeling anything as misinformation.
No, not anything. They're labeling misinformation as misinformation because it's misinformation. If Donald Trump would stop lying, they'd stop marking them as lies. Funny how that works.
And fact-checking anything that challenges mainstream media narratives.
Let's see what this says.
And fact-checking anything—
Lying for Democrats, Candace Owens wins challenge against communist Facebook fact-checker PolitiFact over Biden post-false rating.
Mainstream
Caitlin, you get fact-checked because you guys lie a lot.
Media narratives. But what YouTube just announced is so much worse than any type of censorship we've seen before. They are now going to completely erase any content that challenges or questions the integrity of the 2020 election.
Yeah, because it's a conspiracy theory. They even said in their announcement, like, hey, we let this go on while the legal cases were going, and well, it was like an undecided matter, but now it's been decided. They basically said something along the lines of they have policies in regard to, like, historical events, right? Similar if you were, like, a Holocaust denier, or if you said some other historical event was a fraud or something. Then they, you know, take that down too. Similar thing here. You're peddling conspiracy theories to incite, as we've seen from the other stuff we looked at, a bunch of right-wingers are trying to incite violence on places like the Donald.win, places like that. You're trying to incite people to violence with conspiracy theories. There's precedent for that in the past, which is why it's dangerous and why we understand that it's a threat. So that's why you're not supposed to be just lying to people about the election. Tucker White 94, 20 bits. Right-wing people keep using the word communist. I don't think they know what it actually means. They don't. They definitely don't.
And they boast having already banned thousands of accounts. According to YouTube's latest policy update, quote, since September, we've terminated over 8,000 channels and thousands of harmful and misleading elections-related videos for violating our existing policies. The policy update continues. We also work to make sure that the line between what is removed and what is allowed is drawn in the right place. Our policies prohibit misleading viewers about where and how to vote. We also disallow content alleging widespread fraud or errors change the outcome of a historical US presidential election. However, in some cases, that has meant allowing controversial views on the outcome or process of counting votes of a current election as election officials have worked to finalize counts. And here's where things get really spooky. We will start removing any piece of content uploaded today or anytime after that misleads people by alleging that widespread fraud or errors change the outcome of the 2020 US presidential election, in line with our approach towards historical US presidential elections. For example, we will remove videos claiming that a presidential candidate won the election due to widespread software glitches or counting errors. Those are awfully specific, YouTube.
Not really. I mean, they're specific in the sense that they're things that people like you have claimed. That's why they're saying them specifically. They're using examples of conspiracy theories that already exist on the right. That's why they use those as examples. Is her claim literally, they mentioned the conspiracy theories that we've been pushing. Awfully specific, YouTube. Genius. Tucker White 94, 20 bits. The sad thing is I don't totally disagree with Poop Girl here. I don't think YouTube should be in the business of removing videos that contain misinformation short of slander libel. I don't know if I agree. Like, I don't want... If they took that stance, think about all the Holocaust denialism that would be rampant on YouTube. And let's not pretend that people aren't persuaded by bad information, right? Flat Earth is a thing, right? And I might agree if it was something innocuous. Again, something like Flat Earth, which isn't super innocuous, but it's also not, like, directly linked to violence either. But this is something that's directly inciting people to want to commit, like, violent acts. So, I think that's why it falls on that side of the line. Amateur Hardest with 20 bits. YouTube is well within their right to remove channels on their platform. Something tells me if the left was getting removed from YouTube, the right wouldn't care. Probably not. And I agree. Claims of widespread fraud are slander and libel because it insinuates the actions of people. Yeah. They've accused the DNC itself of, like, working with Dominion to change votes and stuff. That's slanderous.
Effectively, what they are saying is that if you use YouTube to allege that anyone but Joe Biden won the 2020 election, you will be banned.
Yeah, because Biden won the election. Funny how that works. You can't just lie. You can't just make up conspiracy theories because you're mad Biden won.
Even before they announced this policy update, it was already abundantly clear that YouTube was trying to stop the spread of pro-Trump content. In case you haven't noticed, our views on YouTube have recently been a mere fraction of what we were getting just a month ago.
Let's take a look. In fairness, Liberty Hangouts views have been going down for a really long time. 63,000 views, 83,000 views, 79,000 views, 81, 131, 134, 172, 204, 266, 380, 130, 517, 324, 96,000. It looks like it just kind of varies from time to time, Caitlin. Like 4 months ago, you're getting 171, but this one only has 88. This one only has 76. Like, acting like it's that out isn't that crazy. This one's only 58, 73, 88. Those are pretty in line with what you're getting right now, so interesting claim.
To say it's going to be very difficult for me to keep uploading
Voss and Raven with 20 bits. If you use YouTube to lie, they'll delete your videos. Tyranny.
videos here to YouTube. What am I even allowed to talk about anymore besides the weather? This is why it's more important than...
That's an interesting straw man. I can only talk about the weather because I can't lie about the election. Those are the two things I can talk about.
ever for you to join us over at libertyhangout.tv, where I can actually speak freely and not have to worry about censorship. We are currently having our biggest sale ever for Christmas, and I highly encourage you guys to sign up for our annual plan, which you can get at a phenomenal rate right now at libertyhangout.tv. I really wish that I could upload every single video I make to YouTube, but with the way things are going, the majority of my content going forward will likely have to be uploaded at libertyhangout.tv.
Guess we're gonna have to check that out sometimes. Tucker White 94, 20 bits, but that's just it. YouTube is basically where the public square is now. I don't think you can really argue that it should be treated as a private business. I argue that YouTube and other social media sites should be federalized. Then you can't arbitrarily remove channels, barring violations of federal law. Alright, if they get federalized, then that'll be the case, but they're not federalized, are they? So that's not what we're talking about.
I've also moved over to Parler and Rumble, and I urge you guys, very quickly, go follow us there as well. Unfortunately, YouTube's policy update doesn't just end there, of course. They tell us in plain text what their goal with all of this is. They write, over 70% of recommendations on election-related topics came from authoritative news sources, and the top recommended videos and channels for election-related content were primarily authoritative news. In fact, the top 10 authoritative news channels were recommended over 14 times more than the top 10 non-authoritative news channels.
Tucker White 94, what's Rumble? I don't know, some right-wing social media site, I'm not sure.
On election-related content. So who exactly do they consider to be an authoritative news source? We have ABC News, USA Today, NBC, Fox News, CBS. Gee, I wonder why they would consider
Fox News was also on that list, Caitlin. Funny that you didn't mention that. It's almost like you're trying to push a narrative. Weird.
These outlets authoritative. Surely they would not have an agenda, right? And here's where their policy update gets a little funny. Despite these encouraging results, we recognize that there's always more to do. For example, while problematic misinformation represents a fraction of 1% of what's watched on YouTube in the US, we know we can bring that number down even more. So this misinformation, as they call it, is so dangerous to our democracy that they have to outright ban it. Yet it only makes up a fraction of 1% of what's watched on YouTube? That's like cutting celery out of your diet because you're getting fat. But you know what's really ironic about all of this? Who were the ones misleading people about the outcome of the 2016 election? Oh, it was...
That would be Donald Trump, who claimed that he won the popular vote even though he didn't.
NBC.
And again, no, the Russian interference thing is a thing. The intelligence community has backed that up. People have been indicted for it. It's a thing. My God.
ABC News, CNN, CBS News, PBS, MSNBC, The Washington Post, The New York Times, and all of the other mainstream media outlets. Yet how many of their videos did YouTube take down for the lies they told about Russian meddling in the 2016 election?
Again, because that's backed up factually. The claim about 2016 wasn't that votes were literally changed by Russia or anyone like that. The claim was that Russia was using their funding to help push misinformation and give dark money to candidates, to people like Donald Trump, and also use different disinformation campaigns to push fake news out to people on places like Facebook to try and convince them that Donald Trump was better than Hillary Clinton in terms of candidacy. The claim was never that the actual votes were changed, which is what you are claiming about the DNC and Biden. There's a difference between these two concepts.
Zero. But let's trust these same outlets to definitely tell us the truth about what happened in this election, right? With this, we need to start saying goodbye to YouTube, since they said goodbye to us a long time ago.
Please do. Wouldn't that be great if all the people left YouTube who were like this? That'd be nice.
Go. Join us over at libertyhangout.tv to watch Caitlin Bennett Uncensored, where I can freely tell you all of my thoughts about the election, about the lockdowns.
Probably about Holocaust denial too, since since they've tweeted about that before. Tiger White 94 20 bits. So Poop Girl sees the same problem that we do, that YouTube is biased towards corporate media, but then she goes to the wrong conclusion. Sure. Yeah.
And about any number of topics that social media doesn't let me express an opinion about. You can also directly support my work at patreon.com/Caitlin Bennett to gain access to my private Facebook group and help me keep covering events and keep bringing security with me every time I film. It is so crucial to be out there supporting President Trump, but I can't do it without your support. And make sure you follow Liberty Hangout over on Rumble and follow me on Parler at KateMarieOX. The country as we know it no longer exists. It's up to us to come up with ways to keep living freely and not let the communists win. Unfortunately,
The communists.
we know the truth.
Again, it's the one insult they think they know. Everyone I don't like is a communist. Isn't that right, Lupine?
About these masks, but sometimes you're still forced to wear them. Go to shopfreedommask.com. It helps support my work. We have so many. This is the best seller for people who are forced to wear a mask but still want to send a message while they're being forced to. Shopfreedommask.com. As you guys notice, I got hands put on me, a couple people trying to touch the camera or whatever. That's why I have these guys. They handled it very well.
She always likes to be like, look at the armed guards I brought with me. I am very badass. Cacao Juniper with 100 bits. Isn't it funny that she pushes narratives of like, you need a gun to protect yourself, but also I can't just have a gun. I need to hire 3 or 4 large dudes carrying guns of their own to protect me.
The only way I can get them is if you support me at patreon.com/Caitlin Bennett, even just $5 a month. That's where your money goes, and I'm proving it right here. Promises made, promises kept. Patreon.com/Caitlin Bennett. Thank you for your support. Go to libertyhangout.tv right now to watch Caitlin Bennett Uncensored. Not only will you get to watch exclusive content from me, but you'll get to say you stood for the truth, you stood against radical leftism, and you stood up for America.
Caitlin. Very interesting. Also funny. And I kind of hope at some point she decides to literally leave YouTube, because she's really, really bad. Like I said, again, I think her husband runs the Twitter account, but nonetheless, it's the Liberty Hangout Twitter.
There's nothing funny
Has
about the
posted
tools of
Holocaust
capitalism.
denial, has posted pro-monarchy stuff. It's really, really fucked up, so if they wanted to leave YouTube, that'd be great.